You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
Well, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. Do you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
You're probably a bit confused right now. I broke the glass. It's all come back to me.
What is this?
That's my ship.
What?
Let me take it from the top. Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm a traveller in space and time. And that thing buried down there is called a TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. You're gonna love this.
Hey there, listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Earth Station Who podcast. Welcome back, my friends, and if we haven't talked to you forever, it feels like it, because so much has happened since the last time we talked to you guys. We actually survived Dragon Con, and it was a lot of fun, and we had an amazing panel at Dragon Con we'll talk all about, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. But tonight's episode is going to be the 10th Doctor story, Tooth and Claw. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I feel really old watching this now because I looked at the release date of it, and it was released back in, ready for this, folks, 2006. You know,
An age ago. So this is actually only what is this? Technically, it's the third story of the 10th Doctor. So he's still very fresh and young in this. So it's going to be a ton of fun to talk all about it. And we've got a great crew to talk all about it, of course. Let's welcome, of course, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
And Ms. Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It's fantastic to be here.
And returning to the show, let's welcome back Shannon Clute.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Good. So we got a lot to talk about, but we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Please write us feedback at earthstationwho.com. Did we see you guys at Dragon Con? Did we not? We met a lot of folks at Dragon Con who listened to the show. If you're a new listener that you found us through Dragon Con, we gave out tons of Earth Station Who ribbons. We also gave out a ton of postcards. So you know what? We had a lot of different things going on, and you know what? It's been a lot of fun to be able to meet the folks in person and have people come up to us. I love what you guys talked about for Jodie's era, or I loved what you talked about for this episode, and such, or I love when you do the live episodes. Those are a real ton of fun. It's great to hear that kind of feedback, and that's why we love going to the cons and stuff. So it's interesting too, because one of our most favorite Doctor Who cons is actually coming back for a final appearance. I don't know if Mike and Mary know about this yet, but Concaster Burris is coming back.
Yay!
In 2023. Nice. So they made the announcement right before Dragon Con, actually. So I'm going to start talking to Matthew and all of the crew over there in Alabama, and hopefully Earth Station Who will be able to make an appearance at the show.
That would be awesome.
That would be great. We had such great memories from that show, and it's funny because I had a dream a couple days ago, and it's probably one of the fever dreams during COVID or something, that Alan said Hulanta was coming back also. But
Alan's
I guarantee exactly. I guarantee that's not going to happen right now. So, but it would have been awesome to have Hulanta back too. But hey, Conque is coming back. When we get all the details, we'll be one of the first people to, give it to you guys, because we definitely want to be involved and such, and we want you guys involved and come visit us, because we have a lot of listeners in Tennessee and Alabama
and in the South who come to the show. And then, folks, it is a great show, and they get some amazing guests at the show too. So, and it'd be nice, especially with the 60th anniversary coming next year. So I think it all ties together. So definitely we'll check that out. And also, not a ton of regular Doctor Who news, but we did have, like we said, we had a great panel at Dragon Con, and it only took 2 minutes for us to start bashing Chibnall.
Even that.
I think we, you know, we.
I was gonna say, I think that was last.
I think we timed it. It was 2 minutes and 37 seconds. It was supposed to be a look back at the 12th Doctor's era, and I think we made it 2 minutes and 37 seconds to be able to start bashing Chibnall, and that's what it was for the rest of the panel. We did give some compliments to Jodie, though. We did, because we don't. All of us on the show here, we love Jodie. We wish she could stay for RTD. I wish she can be under a decent showrunner. We've said that multiple times. And I think we'll do another episode probably after she leaves, and we'll do a retrospective of Jodie, but we talk to her about her as the Doctor, not about the showrunner. That'll be like off limits or something, and we might have to have some set rules or something with that. So it's going to be a 5-minute episode, folks.
Right.
But it's right.
You have to hit a buzzer every time we say anything about Chibnall.
You know how every time on the Dragon Con report, every time we mess up a word, we have to drink. We're going to have to drink on this show every time we start bashing Chibnall on it. So.
We are going to be totally wasted by the time that episode's over.
As Shannon takes a little sip right there. So it's perfect timing.
Shannon's practicing.
Might as well start getting the sips out of the way.
Episode. Exactly, So, all right, go ahead and bash Chibnall then. Now you drink. But it's pretty awesome. So, but Dragon Con was awesome. There wasn't a ton of Doctor Who guests. I think, they had some folks who have appeared on episodes, and Arthur Darvill was the closest to a companion or any, name of person to appear on Doctor Who. And so it was kind of sad and everything. And, there was a weird feeling around Dragon Con this year for a lot of people. And you know what? I had a good time. A lot of people had a good time. And, there's pluses and minuses to everything. But you know what? It was still a lot of fun. And the Brit Tracks put on an amazing show.
They were amazing. They're always amazing.
Yeah. So total thumbs up to Caro and her crew. And thank you for including Earth Station Who in it. And including us for other panels too. I enjoyed my 2 Sandman panels. I enjoyed, doing the Agatha Christie. The Ted Lasso panel we did was amazing. We had a packed room, and we had at least almost 2 dozen people dressed as Ted Lasso and beard. It was awesome. It was a ton of fun. So, but it was a good time, and you know what? That's all you want out of Dragon Con. Otherwise, if you want to listen to it, at the end of this month, we will have a new episode of the Dragon Con report coming out. So we'll be talking all about our memories there. So definitely look for it. And of course, it'll be live and up on StreamYard as always, and then out to the world a couple days later. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
So it's going to be a ton of fun to do, and there's going to be a lot of discussion, I'm sure. So check it out, folks. The Dragon Con report. You can find the feed right here on the ESO network, or you can find it wherever fine podcasts are found. All right, Mikey, the only little bit of Doctor Who news that we have coming up is about a documentary they're making about Doctor Who. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, they're making a movie. It was announced a few weeks ago that Kaleidoscope Films actually acquired the rights to distribute internationally a film called Doctor Who Am I, which is about the making of the Doctor Who movie that appeared on Fox in this country, starring Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor. I guess Paul McGann actually and Eric Roberts and Daphne Ashbrook will be, they are all part of this documentary as well. But I think the main focus is Matthew Jacobs, who wrote the film. And he, quote, somewhat reluctantly revisits the production and reception it received upon its release. It was designed to be the pilot episode of an American-produced pickup of the series. And of course, that didn't happen. And the film is actually set in America. Because I think, the writing and the most of the production was done in America as well. But Kaleidoscope said that they have acquired it. They're going to release it theatrically in the UK in October. It's already aired as part of the Toronto International Film Festival, and then it's going to be distributed internationally. So no firm date on when it'll come here in the States, whether it be theatrical or just DVD or streaming or something like that. But I'm pretty sure it'll be of interest to all of us to revisit the. I don't know. It's a lot of people still have mixed feelings about the Eighth Doctor movie. So it'll be really interesting to see if this sheds any new light on the making of it and the reception of it as well.
I'd be very curious to see it because there was so much hopes for it, especially for Whovians, because Doctor Who at the time had been off the air for almost 7 years since Sylvester's last episode. And, we were like, had heard rumors and rumors and rumors. And then they announced that Fox was doing this as a pilot. And we were so excited about it. But we talked a lot about it already when we did when we reviewed the episode years ago already, I think, because we did the Doctor Who movie when we were doing the Regenerations. And so I think, it'd be very interesting actually to get, maybe revisit this one because, after maybe we'll actually do an episode on the documentary or something when it's on home video or streaming.
Yeah,
I think that sounds fun.
Do a two-parter, watch them both.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea. So that means we have to watch Eric Roberts again as the Master.
Oh, your favorite.
The drag queen. He was a little flamboyant as the Master.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. So I'm very curious to see when this all comes out, and definitely look for that from us probably in 2023, because I think we're scheduled out already until next year for episodes we have and everything. So, and new episodes, that's still up in the air, folks. It's already getting close to the middle of September, and we don't even have a date for the 100th anniversary special.
Sometime in October.
Exactly. So
speaking about that, have you seen the cover of Doctor Who magazine?
No.
It's got actually this absolutely awesome picture of Sacha Dhawan on it as the Master, but it's supposed to have a preview of the centenary special.
Really? Interesting.
So yeah, we may get some more tidbits at least coming out soon of
fingers crossed.
Yes, we can hope.
Yeah, well, BBC, marketing at its best, as we like to say. So we'll have to wait and see. So we definitely would love to hear from you guys. Any Doctor Who news you guys want to share, please feedback@earthstationwho.com. All right, news was fairly quick tonight, so let's go hop into Tooth and Claw. You guys ready?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
They came through the house in silence. They took the steward and the Master and my lady.
Every full moon the howling rings through the valley. This is a man who becomes an animal.
A werewolf. It can't be an actual wolf. Bullets can't stop it.
We are going back to the ripe old age. You ready for this? April 22nd, 2006. To me, it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
To many, it was like, oh my God, that's 16 years ago. People who were born then are going to be graduating in high school in 2 years. So not to make you guys feel
They
old.
can legally drive on the road.
Exactly. There were probably people, you know, who were at Dragon Con that we saw that, you know, were babies when this came out.
I'm sure, or who hadn't been born yet.
Oh, I'm sure. And it's interesting because I love how people are, you know, now are calling Matt Smith, David Tennant, and Chris Eccleston the classic doctors.
Yes, they're all old now.
It's like,
Matt Smith is almost 40.
Oh.
And it's like, yeah, I remember Matt Smith at the time was 26 years old when he took over being doctor.
Yeah, he was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
He was a baby.
He was.
He's not a baby anymore. He's a big old husky guy kicking dragon butt now.
That's right. Making out with his niece. Hey, that's Game of Thrones for you.
Oh, I know they have a history of that.
It is, unfortunately.
They definitely have a history with that. But we're gonna. One thing we didn't mention about the passing of the Queen in the UK. About Queen Elizabeth passing. We're recording this as of the 13th of September, and this last weekend, Queen Elizabeth passed away. And actually, this ties in really interesting because the royal family has a nice little bit in this storyline.
Yes,
it's almost
they do.
Yeah, they
so
do.
It was actually good timing / bad timing and everything. So, you know, rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth. Yeah. She's been the only monarch of England since I've been alive.
70 years.
That's pretty amazing.
She's been the only monarch of England since Doctor Who's been around.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah.
So, and, you know, it's, well, long live, you know, King Charles III. So,
yep.
You know.
Do we know if, I was thinking about this too in relation to the Doctor, has the Doctor ever encountered or met Queen Elizabeth?
On the show, if you remember the Titanic episode, she thanks the Doctor. She waves at him.
That's right.
That's right.
Because the Titanic was going to crash into Buckingham Palace. Right. Thank you, Doctor.
So it's safe to say that the monarchy had come around to liking the Doctor around that time.
Well, exactly. And it's like, we'll get into that when we get into our discussion further and about some of the ramifications out of this. But yeah, we got a very interesting story with the 10th Doctor and Rose. Sorry, it's my
Your
cold.
Favorite?
It's sorry, and it was real interesting. The script. Oh, sorry. The script was written by Russell T Davies and, of course, directed by Euros Lyn. And it was a very stylized episode. And I remember realizing that when the first time I had watched it back, probably, I think the first time I saw it was in 2008, when I saw it on the DVD, because I think that was the first place I saw Tennant's Doctor. Because I was able to see Dr. 9 because friends of mine in Seattle got CBC up on their cable system, so they were able to record Doctor Who. So yes, I still had a VCR back then, so I was able to watch the videos of Chris Eccleston.
Wait, you don't have a VCR anymore?
Oh, hell no.
Wow. What kind of geek are you?
I am a modern geek. I am a modern geek.
That's how old this episode is. Yes. Everyone had VCRs.
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
I think you're right about the tone. I mean, immediately I thought of the Hammer movies that and Doctor Who has a nice relationship with the Hammer movies as well. I mean, when the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, came around, the first showrunner there, Philip Hinchcliffe, was very much making like little mini Hammer horror movies, I think, with the fourth Doctor. And I really feel that in this episode. This is one of my favorites from David's era and even from New Who. I love this episode a lot.
Yeah, it's very Hammer horror. It really reminds me, I know it's a werewolf, but it actually reminds me more of like the old Christopher Lee, the old Dracula movies and the Wolfman movies. Very atmospheric.
Absolutely. When the first thing you see is like, before you even see werewolves or anything, you see like these monks, these ninja monks coming out and fighting, and it's like, oh, this is pretty awesome.
No, it was awesome. Literally.
It does send like a whole new tone.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very much so. And it's interesting too, because literally from when the monks show up and they rip off the robes and they have ninja outfits on, basically with the staffs and everything, it was like, oh, this is just not going to be normal. Nope.
I mean, you've got an homage to the old martial arts movies too, you know, with the way they're flying in the air and flipping around.
I had to look the very first time I saw it because the head monk looked a lot like Tim O'Brien, Riff Raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, he kind of does. Now that I think about it.
He does.
Now I can never unsee that.
And so I was just like looking at it, and it was just like, oh God, is that him? Is he now finally appeared again on Doctor Who? Because he had been on years ago. And so it was just real interesting to see, the characters. And it was a fun story though. And David got to speak in his real accent.
Yeah.
Briefly, he lost it.
I think he was enjoying that.
And it was
just a little bit.
Oh yeah, it was fun, and that's what I think made it a good episode. It was a fun but exciting story. There was never a slow time in this episode. It flew by. Just from the introduction of the house, what do they call it? The Torchwood Estate.
Yes, the Torchwood Estate.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Queen Victoria, and with the naked girl, Rose Tyler. Because once again, the TARDIS doesn't take the people where they're supposed to go, but where they're supposed to, where they need to go.
Need to be. Yeah.
So, and so it was it was real interesting.
And isn't that the second time she got called naked?
When was the other one?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this
wasn't it. The Charles Dickinson episode.
I think you're right. Yes, I think you're right. The ghost one.
Because that's right around the same time period, actually.
They're like her nakedness.
Which is so odd because, I mean, she's pretty much clothed from head to toe, but yet because it's form fitting, it's naked, right?
Well, she's
wearing tights. So.
She's wearing tights, and she's also has her arms are bare,
right,
and everything. So
I mean, what a disgusking display!
It was.
I mean, they even showed that.
I can't believe they showed that on a children's show.
I'm appalled.
I mean, I'm sure Mike was even more disgusted by Rose than usual.
I'm sure.
It didn't take much. It's okay.
That's always been his problem with Rose.
It doesn't
wear enough clothing.
Yeah.
It does have one of my favorite exchanges on it. Actually, there's a few really good exchanges on here, but between the Doctor and Rose, where she's like, "Oh, hey, I've been out in a boat," and he's like, "No,
please stop.
Stop. No, really don't do that." Like I love that. I love that exchange between them.
Yeah, and I love the Doctor was like, "No, stop, please, please stop.
Don't, really don't do that."
and the funny thing is, I don't know if that was the Doctor talking or if it was David talking.
I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was a little bit of both. That's what I love about it.
I think if I remember reading correctly, that Billie Piper just could not do a Scottish accent, and she was supposed to until like they got super excited and like couldn't fake the accents anymore.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, it was interesting. It was a lot of fun, and you could see it on their face. And then the whole thing with Rose trying to get the Queen to say, "I am not amused. Are you?" And it's just like
it's this it's this banter that they have back and forth that they're all just, I mean, so excited and amused by everything in this, even when there's absolute like terrifying danger. And one of my other favorite moments in this is where the queen addresses them both down, like how, like at the end, like how dare you? Like you guys like are treating this like it's a lark and it's humorous, and that scares me because this stuff is dangerous, and the fact that you guys know more about it and are doing what you're doing is just terrifying to me and the empire I oversee. And I just, because it really is like annoying, right? I mean, yeah, we're excited as well, but it's really kind of dismissive the way they are, I think.
Yeah, actually, even I was starting to get annoyed.
Yeah,
and I think they make a good double act. Don't get me wrong.
Yes,
but it's just they're so cavalier, and there are a lot of people dying here.
They were very callous about some of these people dying.
Oh yeah, very callous, and you can understand the queen's point of view. You know, she's like, you're dangerous. You're basically sociopaths.
Yeah,
in my point of view, because of the way you're treating this.
The woman that plays Queen Victoria, Pauline Collins, I've seen her in tons of stuff. She was in Upstairs, Downstairs for a long time, and she's just practically an institution over in the UK. And she does such a great job here. Less is more with her performance, and she has so many good scenes. That's a good one. And the other scene I love is that when they're at the dinner table and she's talking about they're talking about ghost stories, and she's talking about how they're not special. She doesn't like them because they're scary for kids or ghost stories, but because they give you hope that there's something on the other side, that you can communicate with loved ones on the other side. It's such a powerful and really well done scene. I mean, Russell T is just nailing it. At least he's knocking it out of the park with this episode, I think.
Yeah, he's hitting a lot of good emotional notes. Like it is very obvious that the queen is grieving.
Yes. Yes.
And she really portrays that well. I mean, she has to be stoic because of who she is and what her station is, but you can tell the underlying grief is very
And she
there.
Does not take anything from anyone either. And she's fully prepared. I loved it when she pulled the revolver out of her purse.
That was great.
Yes. Honestly, I think that's like my favorite
is a great scene. Victoria is a bamf, she is just not having it.
She wasted that guy.
Oh, exactly. Oh, what are you going to do?
You're not the first one. I've got this covered. Yeah.
It's like, I don't need anybody to save me. I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
I would say the only thing maybe about this episode, and it's like 40 some minutes, right? Or 50 minutes, whatever it is. And so it's short. And as you said, Mike, it's so fast. Everything happens. There's not anything wasted, but I do wish we got a little bit more. I learned a little bit more about the wolf alien dude or whatever is. I don't even think he has a name in this. Because he has that great confrontation with Rose in the cellar, but he never really confronts the doctor. And I think we're missing that sort of scene between the sort of bad guy or alien or whatever and the doctor in this. And I wish we'd gotten just maybe 5 more minutes to have that sort of confrontation before the end,
Yeah, we learned nothing about him.
Right.
Basically. I mean, he's just kind of there. This happens a lot in Doctor Who.
Well, especially with the fact, like, the doctor seemed to already know, like, what it was. He's like, oh, this is cool. I've seen this before. Like, he seemed really excited about it. And then to, like, just kind of drop off and not go more in depth on it. It's kind of like, are you planning on bringing that back, maybe? Like, maybe he will this time.
Well, I mean, the royal family are werewolves, apparently.
They are. Yeah.
So the parasite is still there, apparently.
It's interesting too because I love when she was figuring it out, and it's like, oh, they are werewolves. It's like, oh god. And once again, they were playing it light about everything.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
laughing. They were laughing as they hadn't learned anything. They were laughing as
No.
they went into the TARDIS.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the Queen's, basically slapped us on the wrist. Oh, we're scared. But that, and that's it. And
Yeah.
they didn't think twice of it because,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just interesting, because, she literally knighted the Doctor and then banished him from the kingdom. And it's like, and then created Torchwood to basically battle, unknown things, but also to be on the lookout for the Doctor.
Yeah, it's interesting. Torchwood. It was actually created to almost battle the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
to keep England safe from the Doctor. Not. I mean, also from other aliens, but even more so from the Doctor.
Very much so. And that was interesting too, because we, this whole season, Torchwood is the running theme. The season before was Bad Wolf. And it was interesting to see, and which they did touch on in this episode.
Yeah, when the werewolf looks at Rose and says, "You've got a little wolf in you,"
and but you have the light, I have the moon. The darkness and the moon, and it was just really interesting to see all that, and I loved that. The scene was just awesome between the two of them, and it was outright scary. And that guy had horrible teeth. Oh my god. And everything. It was just interesting. And, everyone who went up against the wolf too, no one stood a chance. And the noises, the shredding of the people and everything, that was horrific.
Oh yeah, they made it clear there were some pretty horrifying things going on, which made the Doctor and Rose's callousness even stand out even more.
Well, exactly. These people were torn apart right in front of you. And, trying to defend the Queen, defend the house. And literally, you're laughing and giggling about this whole stuff. It's like, damn, you guys are shallow.
I mean, several people sacrificed themselves in order, to keep the Queen safe. And they're just, they're just swept aside. I mean, they don't care. It's an interesting dichotomy that Russell is setting up here, because, that's a pretty fine line you're walking there. I mean, if you're showing that the Doctor and Rose don't care about what's happening, I mean, there's always a sort amount of distance with the Doctor and emotion, but except maybe when he goes into Time Lord Victorious. But you could very easily make them so unlikable that the stories don't really work anymore. And Russell T's actually pretty good at walking that line, but I do think he goes over at some point because Rose becomes so incredibly annoying to me, or at least the dynamic between them as the season goes on.
This is like the beginning of it for me and everything, and it was just interesting too because, he's still fresh out of the pot at this point. And he actually even had to talk to Rose. Yeah. Was that a little bit too rude, and everything? And she had to draw him back in a little bit. And so, from, going too off. And it was really interesting and everything. But the acting for, everyone else was just awesome. And David was awesome in this.
Yeah, David's awesome, even though he's quote unquote still cooking. Yeah. He doesn't. I mean, he seems just on top of his game still on this. And you're right. I mean, Rose, despite the fact that she's annoying, she doesn't really add anything to the plot or anything. She doesn't really do anything other than sort of, be naked and be annoying.
She's more like a connection piece.
Yeah. I had forgotten until watching this on this rewatch that Lady Isabel was very much had some agency. Like she actually came in and saved the day, like at least once, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Mistletoe was awesome.
Yes.
That was just awesome.
I thought that was pretty awesome of her. I mean, like, wow, you did more than Rose has done.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that there was a number of decent fellows that sacrificed themselves for the Queen in particular, and that was just not even noticed by the Dr. Rose, seemed really kind of out of place. But I know what, we know what's coming because we've seen it already, and so we know what's coming, and that's they will actually get their comeuppance, so to speak. But I think that that's what, even though there's some really good stories this season, I think that's what separates me from thinking that this is one of the best seasons, because there's some really good episodes like this one, but yet the Doctor and Rose just seem so disconnected from everybody doing their own thing that it really just kind of separates me even from really enjoying these stories.
Oh, there's some amazing stories. You're completely right, Mike. But Rose and the Doctor going off on their little two little like lovebirds and, traveling through time and everything just took me out of the stories and takes it away from being one of my favorite seasons, because there are amazing stories this season to come.
Yeah. New Earth, which I thought was really fun, which is the one precedes this. School Reunion comes up next, followed by Girl in the Fireplace. I mean, there's some really, really amazing stories in this just 4-episode arc. And yet, because of the way the two of them behave, like just like annoying school children, you're kind of like, I can't fully like endorse all of these. You know what I mean?
But it's, I know the Doctor and Rose are supposedly the big love story for a lot of people, and I mean, and that's fine. They're entitled to what they feel, but to me, they always felt kind of superficial. Like this kind of joking around and callousness just feels very superficial to me. I almost feel like he had more connection in the Girl in the Fireplace than he does with Rose in the other stories, because he seems to have more depth in that relationship.
No, you're completely right. It's like they almost forget about everyone else around them because they're so wrapped up in each other and forgetting about the agency, where like Madame Papador and the Doctor, that was a true love story.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to be fair, Rose is very young, and it feels kind of like a teenage relationship, that kind of obsessiveness, but also superficiality that you have because you're just not mature enough at that point in your life usually, and it comes across that way to me. Now we're going to get a lot of hate mail.
And address that to Mary Ogle, care of Earth Station Who.
But they did, though. They kind of just fed off of each other's excitement, and by feeding off of each other's excitement, it became this vicious cycle where they didn't see what else was going on around them. I mean, Mickey and Rose's mom, Jackie, they both called them out on that. Like, yo, stop, rewind, bring it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a good point. Other people around them do notice it and point it out.
But because they're Mickey, and because it's coming from Mickey and Rose's mom, you're just kind of dismissing them of them as well, because they're not, I mean, Mickey's Mickey, so screw that guy. But and Rose's mom is never really presented as someone you should take seriously either. So it really is kind of an interesting dynamic that I don't think I realized. I think I was caught up in it at the time as well. I was like, this is fun. I see what they're doing. Mm-hmm. This is great. But looking back on it now, after these, 15 years or whatever, it's like, I don't know. This is not exactly as fun as I remember it being. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy the stories or don't enjoy their performances or anything like that. But I'm like wondering, as we're going into this new Russell T Davies era, like, man, because I'm pretty sure this all was done on purpose. And I'm like, man, it's like, what was Russell T really trying to do with his run? And, you know, what could he do for his next run? Not to say that it's going to be bad, but it's just going to be a lot more than I think I originally gave him credit for.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what he's going to do, because he has matured as a writer.
Yes.
I mean, it's been a long time, actually, since he's written for Doctor Who, and he's done a lot of other projects, some really good ones since then. So, I'm very, very interested to see what kind of sensibility he brings to this new series. I don't think it's going to be the same as nor should it be as went before.
Fingers crossed, my friends. Fingers crossed.
And Doctor Who itself has changed quite a bit.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're completely right.
Doctor Who's also changed quite a bit. So it's one of those where he's coming in is completely different than what it was when he left.
It's a different character completely. You know, still the same basis, but a whole different, you know, set of circumstances. So it would be very curious to see. And you know what? I'm curious and hope he doesn't make the same mistakes. And in Russell, we trust for right now. That's all we can say. We don't know.
I'm not saying he made like a lot of mistakes or whatever. I just find it interesting looking back on his run now. Like every single one of his seasons, the Doctor was very different. It's just interesting to look back on it now, and not when I was watching it, I was just going through the process and I wasn't even really noticing it as much as I do now.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. You know, did you think this episode was too violent for a kid show, or was it too scary and horrific?
I don't have kids, so I'm not gonna know. I mean, that's just but you know, they don't show any like serious.
Yeah, you
like,
don't
blood
really
or
see
anything.
anything.
I don't even know if you see any blood.
I mean, these are the kind of movies I watched as a kid all the time.
Yeah, this is like complete Hitchcock. Like it's the horror is in your mind.
Yes.
True. Very, very true.
So it's up to you. If you think it's really violent, then you're the problem.
I thought for 2006, I thought The Wolf looked pretty darn awesome.
Yeah.
And I think, and the budget they went into, especially for the transformation scene, that was pretty darn awesome.
Yeah, they did a really good job. I mean, the sets are really good too. The way the direction is really good. The music is really good. It was so
Murray
nice
Gold.
to hear decent music again. I miss Murray Gold so much. But yeah, they really, you know, I think they worked really hard in creating a certain kind of atmosphere, and they succeeded here.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. So Shannon, you know, when was the first time you had seen this? Did you watch it originally, you know, either on Sci-Fi or on DVD?
I saw this on, I think, BBC America. And it was like a rerun episode, like late at night kind of deal. But it was really good. When this originally aired, I was actually watching Eccleston.
Gotcha. Well, I think a lot of people were at that stage in the States, because I remember Doctor Who was delayed quite a bit coming to the States. Not, you know, we're so frippin' spoiled. We get it the same day now.
Yep.
You know, I remember the days when you know, with the new series that we had to wait, you know, months before we got to see it. And, you know, I remember, you know, people, I could get you a copy of it, but it's going to cost you a favor, you know, stuff like that, you know, because,
met them in back alleys.
Oh, exactly. You know, I remember at Dragon Con the first couple of years, they had bootleg copies of the Eccleston episodes and the first 2 seasons of Tenet, you know, for sale from some of the vendors, because they used to have in the vendor room people selling bootleg DVDs and stuff like that, and Japanese stuff. And, you know, it's not like it is now, kids. It's a lot more cleaned up than the vendor room used to be. And
you kids are so lucky. We had to wait months, sometimes years.
It was funny though. We had bought back then because we wanted William to see H.R. Puffin stuff,
and we bought the first. Supposedly, it was supposed to be the first season of HR Puffin stuff because it wasn't available yet on DVD or anything. And so we got it from this guy, and when we got it home, it was Torchwood season 1. And it was just like, oh wait, no, William, sorry, you can't watch this. Nope.
It's like slightly different.
He was, but Dad, it's Doctor Who stuff. It's like,
I've seen HR Puffin stuff, and maybe it would have been less traumatic to show him Torchwood.
Good point. Hell, the magic flute alone, but that's a whole different story. So awesome, guys. All right. Any final thoughts that we haven't covered or anything on this episode before we go ahead and rate it?
The only other thing that I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I didn't know if this was a reference or not, but when, they're joking about that the queen might have been bitten and that, the royal family's werewolves or whatever, I just didn't know if that was a reference to, because I know that, what is it, 16, 17, 20 years later, something like that. That's when you get the Jack the Ripper murders. And I know that there's one, I think Alan Moore is one of those people who wrote that conspiracy that it was the royal family that was responsible for those, or somebody in the royal family that was responsible for those. And I didn't know if that was a sort of reference to that, or if it was just like a ha-ha joke, like, hey, yeah, they're all like,
werewolves.
Yeah, they're all werewolves. Like the royal family is all still like werewolves, the family werewolves or whatever. And I just didn't know. So, because that would be odd. I don't really, no offense to the dearly departed or whatever, but I can't even see Charles as a werewolf really that intimidating. I can't, like, even if Charles was a werewolf, I still think he would be not intimidating.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
He would be the werewolf you saw with the Chinese menu in his hand.
Right.
With these like big, huge ears or whatever. I don't know.
Exactly.
Anyway, so, but yeah, I don't know if that was the right thing.
I think it skipped a generation.
Yeah, it had
to. Maybe so.
All right, kids, let's go ahead and rate this one and give this 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Shannon, you get to go first.
4. I'll give it 4 stars.
Okay, awesome. Very awesome. Mary.
I think I'll also give it 4 stars. I mean, it's a very enjoyable episode. There are some plot holes, but you don't really care because it's just fun to watch, and David Tennant is great in it. I'm going to dock it a star because it is the beginning of the really annoying relationship between Tennant and Rose. But I give it a 4.
Okay, awesome. Mr. Mike Gordon.
I'm going to give it a 4.5 because I think it's yeah, because I understand Mary deducting at a point for the Doctor and Rose's relationship, but I'm going to add a 0.5 point because I think Pauline Collins just knocks it out of the park as Queen Victoria.
That's fair.
And it and it just does.
Yes.
It's an important episode. It's the origin of Torchwood, and has other implications as well. So, but I think by itself, even if you don't have all that, it's just a fun, like I said, Philip Hinchcliffe. Like, I don't think he wanted his name to be used as an adjective like that, but Hinchcliffe episode and that's from my favorite era of Doctor Who. So yeah, I'm going to give it 4.5 just because of that.
Okay. This might be going the opposite direction. And I'm going to go with 3.5 for this. Ooh. And
it's Rose's nakedness, isn't it?
Damn it! You figured me out, Mike.
So offended.
It's that naked Rose.
It's naked Rose. It's interesting because I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed it just as much as I did the first time I saw it, or the second or third. I've watched this, every couple of years. This is a fun one to watch. I love the acting. I think Tennant's great. The actress who plays Queen Victoria is awesome. I love the supporting cast.
the thing is, the parts with the Doctor and Rose pull it down for me. And pull it down enough to bring it down to a 3.5. And there's a ton of, almost every male character in this storyline dies, if you look at it that way. And it's pretty much, anyone who had speaking parts or, anything, and it's pretty brutal. And for them to make fun of it and everything, and it's like, and trying to get it. Truthfully, in this one, I was getting annoyed with Rose. I am not amused. What about you, Mum? Over and over again. I was like, all right, stop it already. This is, people are dying. This is not anything to abet or whatever. And, it just showed immaturity and stuff. And I was just like, nah, I'm going to pass on that part. And I just decided to think, it pulled it down for me because I love the styling. I love everything else in this. But I think a 3.5 is still a strong episode. And I would recommend this to somebody. I wouldn't recommend this as a first episode to watch of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
No.
Definitely not a first episode.
No, but I definitely would recommend it. So it's definitely out there. Definitely would love to hear from what you guys think, though. Please let us know. And, one of the comments we did get at DragonCon, you guys agree way too much on that podcast that you guys do. Well, tonight we didn't, folks. So no.
Wow.
No, we didn't tonight, folks.
We love our audience. We really do.
We do love you guys.
But not enough to love Chibnall.
No.
No. We have to draw the line somewhere.
We do stop there, right across. Sorry. So it's interesting, though. We are doing well, and we are surviving, and we will be back again in 2 more weeks, folks. We will be back again, and we are going to be looking back at the John Pertwee era. That's right, folks. We are going to look at the Monster of Paladon, which is a third Doctor with Sarah Jane Smith. So it should be a ton of fun. It's going to be interesting. I've never seen this one of the third Doctor era. So it's going to be fun to do. And we'll get to see our favorite Alpha Centauri is back in it. We get the Ice Warriors, and we get, other aliens too. So it's actually a lot of fun. So definitely join us then. We will see you next time. On behalf of myself, Mike Faber, Miss Mary Ogle, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Anything you want to promote?
You can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
And Miss Shannon Clute, thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I always have so much fun on here.
Oh, it's always fun having you. And are you just done with your podcast, or are you going to eventually bring it back?
I've actually started a new one.
Oh.
My new one is called Spilled Tea Wine Media Mind. Yeah, I'm going to talk about a tea, I'm going to talk about a wine, and then I pair it to some sort of media, be it book, movie, or show.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That is awesome. Yeah. And where can people find it?
Literally everywhere. I use Anchor as so it's on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Google, Stitcher, all the things.
That's awesome. We'll have a link to it up in the show notes for this. So definitely find her podcast, folks. And Mr. Mike Gordon, we've made it through another one, my friend.
We did. And as always, it's my pleasure.
Awesome. And you know what? It was awesome hanging with all you guys, actually, at DragonCon this year. It was a pleasure. And everyone we met, thank you. All the good feedback we've gotten, thank you. And if it's your first time listening to it, the show, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And that is it. I am wrapping this show up for tonight. Thank you for listening. We will see you next time here on Earth Station Who. Peace. We are done. Boom.
Yay.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talent from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
Drew Leiter here. Wish you could keep up on DC Comics but don't have the time or the money? Not a problem. Join Cletus Jacobs and I as we bring you recaps and commentary on DC Comics, television, movies, and more, whether they are good or not. The Earth Station DCU podcast comes out weekly and is part of the ESO Network.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.